Don't you think that blueberry muffins are far superior to chocolate muffins?
No.
Really?
No.
I think that the blueberry muffin, when I think of muffin, I think of blueberry. Chocolate muffin's a cake.
What's the difference between a muffin and a cake then?
A muffin's a pastry. Well, is it? It's
No,
a sponge, so I guess it's
muffins-
not.
What are muffins if not just oversized cupcakes?
That's very
Insightful.
profound, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Philip K. Dick would be proud of that. A little insight.
Philip K. Dick.
Hi, and welcome back to the 1am Book Club podcast. I'm Adam.
And I'm Kira.
But you can call me Adam.
And you can call me Bog.
I still need a nickname. It's
You
very
don't-
boring.
you
You can't get
don't-
much from Adam,
You
can
don't
you?
get one.
No. And today on the 1am Book Club podcast, it's March. We're talking, this is our third episode.
Welcome.
Made it to 3.
Hello.
I know, crazy. That's flown in, fast year so far. And
Yeah, I guess.
we're here talking about
Philip K. Dick's quote unquote masterpiece.
The Man in the High Castle. Now, maybe a controversial take, but I mean, this is I guess widely considered a modern classic. I would say it is. A lot of people know this. There's a pretty well-known TV show on Amazon Prime that was an adaptation of this book,
It's got like 4 seasons.
which
How-
I don't know how there's 4
How
seasons.
they got 4 seasons out of this book, I will
I don't
never
actually know how they even got 1 season out of this book because
Maybe there's like I didn't
there's
watch
barely
it.
a plot.
I didn't watch it, but maybe there's like I don't know. Maybe they add characters. Maybe they add things.
They
to
must do. I think that this seems like the TV show is just like the concept as opposed to the actual story. It's just
Oh,
like, let's
okay.
make a TV show that's set in a dystopian society where the Nazis won the war. And
There's a book
we'll
about
roll
it,
with that.
but you know. that's
But
their
is it
own
really
thing.
about it? Is it mostly about the Japanese?
Hey, I thought this was gonna be set in like Germany, but no, there's a lot of the Japanese in this.
And I mean, that's an important part of
which
history
is
too. But
silly, I guess, because they
but-
were also part of the Axis.
we're getting ahead of ourselves. First questions. We need to talk about what we're drinking.
I'm drinking
Bog, what you on? What you on?
a iced caramel latte with oat milk from Starbucks, and
Nice.
I also
Not
have
sponsored.
not sponsored. I also have what was that, salted caramel blondie?
Very nice.
Which is
Looks good.
it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm on the peach iced tea today. I'm off the coffee.
Woo!
Trying to kick back on the caffeine and just needed something refreshing to carry us into spring.
Oh,
And I'm having a blueberry muffin, which isn't a pastry, it's a cake.
it's a cake.
But
But they're not better than.
they're better than chocolate
No, they're
muffins.
not. No, they're not.
I think we can all agree that the lemon drizzle muffin is by far the worst.
I love lemon drizzle muffins. I love them so
Mm.
much.
Nah.
Yeah, I
Mm.
love yeah.
Nah. Lemon drizzle cake, maybe, but
Mm.
leave the muffins alone.
I love love lemon drizzle.
And as always, what are you reading right now and what's
Okay,
going on?
right. I am reading. Let me get this right. The Line of Beauty by Philip
K. Dick.
Hollinghurst.
Oh.
I don't know his second name. Alan. His name's Alan. Alan Hollinghurst.
The line of beauty.
The Line of Beauty by Alan Hollinghurst.
Is it anything to do with the BBC Scotland programme The Line of Duty?
No.
Oh.
I surely wish though.
Yeah?
I've read, to be fair, I've not like really started reading it. I've read 1 page of it.
What's that about? What's the one page about?
Can't I don't know.
Is the page good? Was that a good page?
I think it was a good page. Yeah. This month I also read Julia Fox's biography, Down the Drain.
Nice.
It was so good, man. Oh, what a controversial character is Julia Fox, but she's got such a cool story, such a cool origin
Seems like
story.
such a cool person. Anytime I
mean-
see a red carpet picture of Julia Fox,
I
I
mean,
just think,
gal, look at the back.
yeah.
She's
Oh wow,
she's awesome.
she's barely wearing any clothes.
She's awesome.
Might as
she's
well just
hot.
be-
She used to be a
No.
dominatrix.
Good for her.
She used to be a dominatrix.
Wow.
She's got a son.
Well, now I'm interested.
Yeah. She used to be a dominatrix. She's got a son. She used to go out with Kanye West, and she doesn't name drop him in the book, but she says, I can't remember what she calls him. She calls him like the artist or something, and you kind of know it's him, and he is a nasty character. But it's not about him.
No shade, Kanye.
No shade.
Not sure you're listening to this, but just in case you
Hey
are,
Kanye, if you're listening to this, hey.
no shade, big man. Love your work.
I love that one song you did, Kanye.
Yeah. Goodfellas in Paris. Was that Kanye?
Goodfellas? Okay, Goodfellas in Paris.
All my friends in Paris.
Oh, I don't know that song.
What? All My Friends in Paris is a very famous Kanye West. Maybe that's not a Kanye West song.
I think it is. I don't know. I don't really listen to Kanye West.
You know what? The more that we talk about this, the more likely we are to get cancelled. Let's move past it.
Let's not talk about Kanye West. What are you reading?
Well, I finished my book about Chernobyl. It took me absolutely forever.
I think you spoke about that in like
2 podcasts in a row or something. It took me forever, but I finally learned about the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, and it was a disaster.
It was.
You know, only 31 people died in that whole incident, but I think it was 31 officially, but probably a lot more people died of like onset radiation poisoning and stuff.
We learned about all that when we did radiation in like 4th year physics.
Yeah, it's a really good book. Highly recommend. Adam Higginbottom, I think, wrote it. It's called Midnight in Chernobyl. It's a good book. I'm trying to get into reading non-fiction because I want to learn more shit.
That's what I was going through. Like I hit such like a block with reading at one point, and then I was like, I'm gonna start reading stories that other people have written about their own life. So that's why I started reading biographies and stuff.
Fair
and
enough.
It's really fun because I love people telling me a story.
Yeah, I do like a good memoir. I'd quite like to read Matthew Perry's memoir actually. After everything. Sorry, here I am to him.
R.I.P.
I know.
Yeah.
And then I'm also about 2/3 through Phantoms by Dean Koontz, who's kind of the anti-Stephen King, but also that's a lie. There's this sort of unspoken war between Stephen King fans and Dean Koontz fans where you can't like both of them, you have to like one of them. So I was always a Stephen King guy. I own every book Stephen King ever published.
That's insane.
But I decided to give Dean Koontz a go, and it's pretty good. It's pretty scary, which is
pretty scary.
Yeah, I don't find books scary, but Dean Koontz, he's got it, man. He's got it.
Nice.
Pretty spooky. But yeah, there's this strange war between Stephen King and Dean Koontz fans. And speaking of war, let's talk about The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick.
That was such a good segue.
Another one of my famous segues.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're so good at that.
My first question is, Bog, why don't you just admit how far did you get through this book?
I got 131 pages into this book. I did not finish this book.
You DNF'd.
I DNF'd, and you know why? I'm gonna say it right now. This book kind of sucks. I didn't enjoy it. It's kind of boring. I was reading the words and they didn't compute. I was like, huh. And here, I love a good science fiction story.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good dystopian.
Yep.
This one, nuh-uh.
Neither.
No.
Well.
No.
Well.
I just couldn't do it.
I understand that it's like quite plot thin. There's not really a plot as such. It's
like an ensemble of characters.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of names to remember.
Like Frank.
But actually Frank Fink was his real name. Spoiler, you're not going to finish reading this book, are you?
I did not finish this book.
Okay, so let me just run down.
Can mansplain the ending of The Man in the High Castle.
Do you know what? Before we talk about the actual book, I want to talk about Philip K. Dick because I'm with you in that this book, a little disappointing in my opinion. I was always looking forward to reading this book, and it was I understand why it's a classic, but at the same time, I did not really enjoy reading it that much, to be honest. It's kind of slow and very too many characters and just a lot going on. Like a lot going on. As I actually had to go away and look at the Sparks Notes chapter breakdown after finishing every chapter just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then by the time I finished the book I felt like I had missed pretty much most of it anyway. So this is a very dense book. Before we get into the plot, I want to tell you a little bit about Philip K. Dick because I think that Philip K. Dick, the man, in a lot of ways, a lot more interesting than Philip K. Dick, the Man in the High Castle.
Awesome.
So let me just tell you about this man's life.
Please do.
So The Man in the High Castle. So first of all, the book was published in 1962. Philip K. Dick wrote 44 novels, and he wrote a lot of short stories, like 121 short stories.
Good for him. That's a lot.
This was his first big novel. This was kind of his big break, and weirdly, sort of strange choice, but And it was also it was the only one, actually, of Dick's 44 novels that won the Hugo Award for Best Work of Science Fiction.
So, like, he kind of fell off after this?
No, I think he fell up after this.
Oh.
He fell on, if you will. So Philip K. Dick was born in 1928 in Chicago, Illinois. He was actually a twin.
I love twins!
Well, you're not going to love them in a minute.
Oh.
He was actually a twin, and he and his twin sister Jane were both born 6 weeks premature,
Oh my
but
goodness.
his twin sister Jane died at 6 weeks old.
Oh my god.
That's a depressing little parallel for you. And that seemed to have a bit of a profound impact on his life and his fiction, because he writes about twins quite a lot, like phantom twins. He wrote about twins in Flo, My Tears, the Policeman Said, and he writes about like this phantom twin thing in like Dr. Blood Money.
I love twins. I love twins. I think
Yeah.
they're so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean there's two of you? There's two of you.
But there
going
wasn't
around.
two. Imagine
Oh,
two
yeah.
Philip K. Dick. That'd be crazy. Although she would have been Jane Dick.
Jane K. Dick.
Jane K. Dick. Do you know his middle name was Kindred? Like Kindred Spirits?
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
Like twins.
Yeah. What a crazy second name.
That's so sad,
I don't know.
actually.
I know.
Oh.
Anyway, he studied psychology, philosophy, and history at the University of California, Berkeley.
That's cool.
Which is probably where his interest in things like the I Ching came from, which plays a big part in this book. But he had to drop out due to severe bouts of anxiety.
Oh.
Being there,
That's so upsetting.
which would remain a problem throughout his life.
Oh. Philip.
He was not the best at being able to retain a wife. He was married 5 times.
Slay.
Um,
Maybe not, actually. I don't know why I said that.
His first marriage lasted just 6 months, from May to November 1948.
Wilding out in 1948.
Yeah, but in his defence, there was a lot going on, what with World War II and such. In fact, nope, that was 1945 that
Yeah,
finished.
1948. Well
So-
over by then.
No, he had no excuse. He spent a lot of the 60s and 70s addicted to amphetamines, which is, I don't want to say the reason that a lot of his best work came out, but that is also, incidentally, the time when he wrote most of his most famous and revered work. So that's when he wrote The Man in the High Castle. This is also when he wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is an excellent book, and I have that if you want to borrow it. That's the book that Blade Runner was based on.
Oh, real?
Excellent book. And Ubik and a lot of his other most famous books, which are all a lot better than The Man in the High Castle, by the way.
Slay.
And yeah, he was addicted to amphetamines. This is probably where his paranoid constitution came from, which is something that would kind of haunt him for basically the rest of his tragically quite short life.
Oh.
At his lowest point, he was basically super addicted to amphetamines, and he hit a bout of writer's block in 1972, after which he attempted suicide by an overdose of potassium bromide, which is, get this, a dog epilepsy medicine.
Oh my goodness.
Having failed suicide, he committed himself to rehab, and he spent a month in rehab in Canada. And his 1977 novel, A Scanner Darkly, which I haven't read, but I've heard is very good, is basically a fictionalized retelling of this era of his life. So yeah, he had a quite a tragic...
What an interesting guy.
And this is not the end. This guy, he supposedly experienced a number of supernatural, basically paranoid delusions, I guess,
Oh, I love that.
during the 70s.
That's so interesting.
He famously wrote letters to the FBI accusing them of being Soviet spies. He described himself as having basically as living 2 separate lives at the same time. So he lived as the author Philip K. Dick himself, and he also lived as a Christian man running around in biblical times named Thomas, on the run from Romans who were trying to persecute him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He also had a number of religious encounters. He believed that he saw Jesus on a number of occasions. And
Wow.
then he died in 1982, aged just 53, due to complications from a stroke, which probably arose from his years of drug abuse. And basically, he went to the hospital, he had another stroke, which led to a brain death, and they just turned off the life support after 4 days of him essentially being brain dead. And he died 5 days later, actually, and his father actually buried him That's depressing.
Oh my god.
And his father had him cremated and buried his ashes next to his sister Jane in the twin grave that they had erected 53 years before.
Oh, that is so sad.
And that's the story of Philip K. Dick, abridged.
Oh my goodness, what an interesting guy.
Yeah. Much more interesting guy than expected, actually.
That's
and he loved
insane.
cats.
And he loved cats.
For some reason, like, I don't know if Philip K. Dick had a lot of cats, or if he would walk into a room and see a cat and say, Jerry, get a picture of me with this cat. But he had a lot of pictures with cats.
Man, I love cats.
Yeah.
Milk.
Yeah. Would you like to give a rundown of what you remember of the plot of this book, of the half that you read?
Okay, of the half that I read, there's not really much plot, right? I only remember characters and things that they do and say.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one guy called Baines. Mm-hmm. This man is having an existential crisis. He's like, what is insanity? What is reality? Is it actual? Is it actual reality, or are we all a little bit insane? Baines, kind of crazy. He's a government guy, and a little bit. He's just all over the place. He's having trouble with being from Europe.
Yeah.
He's like,
Swiss.
He's Swiss, but everyone thinks he's German, and he's like, I'm not German. I'm not insane. Well, maybe I am insane, but that doesn't make me German, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're all one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Robert Chilton, who is the owner of American Artistic
something. It's just
American Artistic something.
It's basically
It's like a
American antiquities store.
Yeah. It's like that.
Like an antique store.
Yeah. And he's he collects like
American artistic handcrafts.
Handcrafts. And he gets like pre-war American artifacts. There's like a bit where he collects like a Mickey Mouse watch and he basically sells them off to higher up government people that are interested in these American pre-war antiquities.
Yeah, because the Japanese
they have a
interest
thing
in American
for it.
culture.
They have a thing for it.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Frank.
Mm-hmm.
He's Jewish. He quits his job, and him and his pal McCarthy start a jewellery company.
If this sounds confusing, that's because it is.
It's because it is. Frank and his pal McCarthy start a jewellery store, and I think the bit that I got to, they're trying to sell these fakes and these forgeries to children.
Yep.
Because that's what they kind of did at their old company anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's Juliana Frank, who is Frank's ex-wife, and she's living in the Rockies or something. She's living like
in this middle state.
The cowboy life, which is awesome. She then comes across this trucker called Joe, who's Italian, and had been in the war, fighting on the Italy side. Mm-hmm. And then she gets introduced to, what's it called? The Grasshopper.
The Grasshopper Lies Heavy.
The Grasshopper Lies Heavy, which is basically like the in-universe version of this book.
Yeah, but it depicts
our
reality,
like.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But it's actually not really our reality,
but
because
it's not.
There's a lot to it.
Which I guess is the same thing for this book.
Yeah.
Like this wouldn't be what it would be like.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah.
So
that's
it.
That's kind of it. That's what I remember.
So
Tagomi as well.
Mr. Tagomi doesn't Mr. Tagomi doesn't really do anything until the end of the book, though.
Okay, great.
Let me just. So I have like a very detailed note of most of the stuff that happens in this book.
Okay, you do that then, because I'm completely useless.
Let me know if you remember any of this. So let's start with the key players. I have a lovely little diagram and drawings of everyone. Look, I even drew Robert Sheldon has an American flag.
Because, yep.
Yeah. Frank Fink has a bracelet. It says, "Want to buy a bracelet?" Yeah. Mr. Tagomi has a gun and a Is that what Japanese flag looks like? It's like a red. It's like a circle with a white. Or is it a red circle and a white flag?
It's a red circle and
okay.
You did that wrong.
Well, I did that the wrong way around.
You did it inverted.
Whoops.
Ooh.
I think Philip K. Dick would be proud of that alternate reality Japanese flag. So we've got the key players. Robert Sheldon. He is working in this American artifact store, but it comes out that everything that he is selling is fake.
It's fake, and he's like, my reputation is ruined.
Yeah.
Ah.
We've got Mr. Tagomi. He's a low-ranking Japanese authority / official. Frank Fink. He's a Jewish man living under the assumed name of Frank Frink. Very clever alias there, Frank. And
Frank,
we've got
you're really doing it. You're really doing it.
Juliana Fink, who is, as you said, his ex-wife.
His ex-wife.
And a judo instructor.
She is. She's so
Yeah.
cool. She's kind of really cool.
It's kind of cool that she like learned how to took on a Japanese martial art as a profession, as a sort of way of
She's
making
awesome.
it work. You know,
She's awesome.
she is awesome. Juliana might be the best character in the story.
I love her. I
So-
lived for any time that she was mentioned. I was like, okay,
She was
now
so
I can
sassy
get into
too.
this. I can get into this now.
Yeah, she just hates Frank.
She hates him, and she's like, there's like one bit where she remembers the life that she had with Frank, and she's like, Juliana always told Frank he was ugly. Big nose, large pores,
Ugly hair.
ugly hair. That boy was not a looker, and that's why he's not good.
Yeah, that's why I quite like about this book is that there's no goods. There's no good or bad guys really. There are like,
they're all just very.
even though there is slavery exists, and but like the people
Yeah.
that are the heroes, quote unquote, of the story are also kind of deplorable people.
Yeah.
Like Robert Sheldon actively hates Asian people.
Yes.
And believes that they should have been
Yes.
the ones involved in the Holocaust instead of the Jews.
Insane. The one thing about this book, he calls people slurs in this book,
Yeah,
and I read it and I went, oh.
yeah. That could just
No.
be a sign of the times. To be fair, I feel like that's just
Sign of
Philip
the
K. Dick
times.
being a little bit racist himself, probably.
Yeah, there's just slurs galore in this book, and I came across one and I went, oh, oh no.
Okay, let me just run through this note I have about the story, and we can kind of just go from there. So, the story is split into 4 intersecting plots, basically. The 4 main ones, which take place in America, where the East Coast is controlled by Nazi Germany, the West Coast is controlled by Japan, and there's like a little strip in the middle in the Rocky Mountains that's kind of like a free state, and
That's where like Juliana's.
that's where Juliana is.
They're kind of like just out there, cowboy life.
Cowboy land, yeah.
Oh, that's where I would go.
Although
to be a
it is
cowboy.
equally, not a great place because there's a lot of racism, and there's a section where they're in a diner and they're talking about how the Italians should have been killed and this and that.
Yeah.
Because obviously during World War II the Italians were Axis power, and then they were sort of a flip-flop, and then they were an ally, and then they were an Axis.
Yeah.
Robert Sheldon, he's the owner of an American antique store. He's making a good living for himself. He's found a way to make it work. The novel opens with him selling a revolver to Mr. Togumi before it's revealed that the antiques being sold in the store are mostly fake, although Robert Sheldon does not know this. Frank Fink is a Jewish man living under the fake name Frank Frank, who has recently been fired from his job at basically a factory that produces fake American antiques called Wyndham Madsen. And with the help of his mate McCarthy, I think his name was Ed McCarthy,
It's McCarthy.
he blackmails the company and essentially gets enough money to start an independent jewellery startup,
Ed Frank.
Ed Frank
Ed
Jewellery,
Frank.
which is just not even remotely an important part of the story,
My favourite ship.
but it's
Ed and Frank.
yeah. And he's trying to sell these kind of shit pieces of jewellery to Sheldon with the idea of him being a middleman and selling them in his store. And Sheldon sort of takes pity on them and just accepts them and tricks them into a contract and says, I'm never going to sell these, but I'll take them anyway.
No, Robert.
And then Frank's girlfriend, Juliana, judo instructor, meets an Italian truck driver named Joe while at a diner. And this is where we're going to get into the things that you didn't read, so that you're going to be like, oh, that's a plot twist.
Okay. You might convince me to read more of this goddamn book.
She catches him reading a book called The Grasshopper Lies Heavy,
Slay.
which is written by a guy called Hawthorne Abends.
And he's the man in the high castle.
The man in the high castle.
I got to that bit. I
Yeah.
got to there.
Correct.
And I thought, oh, that's the name of this book.
And in this book, it's basically the opposite of this book, which The Grasshopper Lies Heavy depicts an alternate reality where the Allies won the war, but not our reality, because in the book, America and the UK enter a Cold War with one another, and China and the UK wins somehow. Don't know how they managed that. Anyway, Joe suggests that they should go on a road trip to meet the author, the man in the high castle, which Juliana agrees to. And while on the road, Joe reveals that he is a Nazi spy on a mission to assassinate the man in the high castle.
No way.
And
Be so for real right now.
that doesn't really come out until like the last 20 pages of the book, though.
Okay, great.
When she finally meets him, the man in the high castle, that is, he is just an ordinary man who lives in an ordinary house, though it's well kept. And he reveals that he didn't even write the book. It was written by the oracle, the I Ching, which is basically
Shut up.
kind of like... I don't know if you understood how the I Ching works at all from this book.
So I started reading this book on a day that I had a headache, and they started... I was so... Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. And then they started referencing this I Ching with the hexagons and stuff and the moving
The
lines, and I was
arrow
like, no, can't do this to me today.
I think essentially the way it works is it's just like rolling a dice and it points you in a direction.
There's like 2 volumes of like the way I kind of interpret it is like kind of like, you know how tarot cards work, where you can just like interpret it different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. It gives you like there's like a hexagon thing with like moving lines, and there's 6 on this line, and you get 4 moving lines.
Yeah.
And then you go and you consult the two volumes, and it tells you.
I don't know, but everybody's using it in this
Everyone,
book for everything.
It's so they depend on this.
Like, should I have sugar puffs or cornflakes? I'll consult the oracle.
Should I step outside my door with my left foot
Or my
right
right.
foot?
Yeah,
The
but
answer is none.
yes, as it turns out, that the book was written by the oracle, the I Ching, and also I looked this up. I don't know if this is true. Apparently, Philip K. Dick actually used the I Ching to write the parts of the grasshopper lies heavy that are in The Man in the High Castle.
So is the I Ching a real thing?
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, of course it is. Japanese holy...
Oh.
I don't know if it's a holy book, but it's a sort of
Oh my god.
yin-yang
no
type
way.
thing.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's where yin-yang comes from.
Oh, okay, well that makes a little bit more sense.
Mr. Tagome, he's a morally conflicted Japanese low-level official who,
Mr. Tagome.
in my experience of reading the book, doesn't really do very much until the end of the book.
Slay, what does he do at the end of the book?
When he finds out that Mr. Baines, your man Mr. Baines...
Mr. Baines! My existential crisis guy.
Mr. Baines, secretly a Nazi defector.
Oh, no, we knew that.
That the Germans have... he's basically goes to Mr. Tagome to tell him that the Germans have a secret plot to bomb Japanese territory so that the Germans can basically have complete power over the world. And
by the way, the Germans are colonizing space.
Oh yeah, forgot to say that.
Yeah, which is insane, by the way. They've gone to Mars. They're colonizing the planets. That's insane.
They're just casually going to Mars.
They're going to Mars.
There's a big part about how like the Japanese are upset that the Germans are beating them in the space race as well, which is kind of, they're like, they've won the war, but there's still animosity between both sides.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, just to wrap it up, he's a Nazi defector, Germany, blah 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 blah, and then 2 Nazi agents ambush the 2 men. And they're in Tagome's office, and Tagome kills them both with the gun that he bought from Sheldon at the start, and he's traumatized. He's like, shit, I gotta get rid of this thing. He goes to try and return the gun to Sheldon, but because Sheldon now knows that it's a fake, he doesn't want it back. So he offers Tagome some of Frank Fink's jewelry, which Tagome accepts. He takes it, and then suddenly, while he's holding the necklace that Frank Fink has made, he's transported to the dimension that we live in, sees the world in which the Allies won, and then he's transported back to his own reality, and that's the end of the book.
Shut up. No way. Really?
Yeah. So it's quite a
Are you kidding
quite
me
a
right now?
no, that's pretty much exactly what happens. Yeah.
Oh my god, he's transported into...
Well, I don't know if it's our reality, but it's like the reality from the grasshopper lies heavy. So
that's
it's sort
kind of interesting. Okay, right.
It's sort of
okay.
implied that
Okay.
the reality of this book isn't. It's like the characters find out that their universe isn't real. I don't know. It's very strange.
That's kind of cool.
Anyway, I the more that I sit with this book, I didn't hate it as much as you. Disappointing, but it's kind of, I guess, a postmodern masterpiece.
I mean, I guess. I feel like this is one of the books that, I don't know, I might go back to it. Maybe. Maybe.
Now that you know the entire plot.
Now that I know the entire plot and I know what to look forward to, I don't know. Like, yeah. It's like, you know how I always say I'll go back to Martin Amos's Money?
You won't.
I won't go back to that. But I'll maybe read Zone of Interest, because he wrote that.
He did, yeah.
And that, I feel like sometimes I just need a little bit of context for the book. Sometimes I need a little bit of a spoiler. If I know that this book isn't for me, and if I know that that a book isn't gonna like really take
Not gonna
me,
click. Yeah.
if it's not gonna click, I kind of need a spoiler, which sucks, because then I'm not surprised. But
Fair enough. I sometimes do that where I'll read ahead, you know.
I was really bad for that when I was younger.
I'll read the last page before I start a book just to make sure it's worth reading. Is that not from When Harry Met Sally? I think that's a line from When Harry Met Sally.
I love that movie. You
And
love
he's
that
like,
movie.
It's my favourite movie of all time.
You love that movie.
He's like, oh, I always read the last page of the book before I buy it. And he's like, why? And it's like, so I know how it ends before I die. Or if I die while I'm reading it or whatever. Anyway.
I did that. I did that with when I was 8 and I started reading Harry Potter. Which was like, ended up being like a really big thing for me. But I'd started reading it and I was just flicking through the book and I got to the bit where Voldemort is revealed to be on the back of Quirrell's head. And I was like,
holy shit.
Yeah. I was still reading about like the Dursleys and stuff. Like, I was still reading like Harry's not even been visited by Hagrid yet.
You're like,
and
who's
I'm
Voldemort?
Who's Voldemort? Who's Quirrell? And then like as you're reading it, I was like,
oh my goodness.
So my first ever Harry Potter reading experience was completely spoiled and I didn't get that. Oh my god, it was Quirrell the whole time. I was like, oh, I knew this.
That sort of sounds like the consequences of your own actions.
Yeah,
book.
I know. And then I realised I really shouldn't be doing that because I'll ruin things for myself.
I never knew anything about this book, but I feel like going away and reading more about Philip K. Dick and his amphetamine addiction and his general paranoia kind of adds to the book a little bit. Like, see, like the first line of the book? Drop in a quote here.
Let's do it. I have no quotes.
Says, for a week, Mr. R. Sheldon had been anxiously watching the mail. And it's just like I don't know. It reminds me of Thomas Pynchon. I don't know if you know who Thomas Pynchon is. It's like a American writer. Same era. He wrote a lot of paranoid kind of stuff like this. And then it turns out that that line is just alluding to the fact that Sheldon's just waiting for a parcel, but it is sort of like, is someone following me? Am I being, you know... And everybody's been hunted in this book. Like everyone, like Frank Fink's on the run from the Nazis. Tagomi is on the run from his own people and the Nazis. Sorry, everyone. The cat's just decided to climb up and try and eat my muffin.
I didn't even realise the cat was there. And I was wondering what you were doing. And I got such a fright.
You're a good cat.
What a good cat. Philip K. Dick would love you.
I know.
If Philip K. Dick was here right now, he'd be snapping pictures.
He's getting a picture on his... digital camera.
Yeah, on his digital camera. By the way, the picture of Philip K. Dick on the back of this book is with a cat.
Yeah? Yes, so it is. Oh my god, I didn't even realise.
Any picture that I've seen of Philip K. Dick, he has a cat.
He always has a cat.
He always has a cat.
Wow.
Slay.
So, tell me.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily about the man in the high castle, but it's adjacent.
Yeah.
Would you say that to anyone that's listening to this that's not a big reader and is picking up a book and they're not enjoying it, would you say that it's okay to DNF a book if you're not enjoying it?
It's totally okay to DNF a book if you don't enjoy it. There's no point in torturing yourself by reading a book if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm speaking directly to the listener right now. Hey, you. If you're not enjoying that book, put it down, man. Find something else that you love. And that's okay.
And you will.
And you'll maybe your rebound book will become the best book you ever read.
Maybe it will.
And maybe it will. I hated Martin Amos's Money so much, and that is why I'm okay with DNFing books. My hatred for that book is so wide and so large.
But then what did you read after you read Martin Amos's Money? Virgin Suicides.
Yeah.
And you love that book?
Or Talented Mr. Ripley, I think.
Okay, so in both those books you really liked.
And I love those books. I think I know what I like now.
Don't let what is like that don't let your girlfriend stop you from finding your wife or something. What's like that saying that misogynists use?
Oh yeah, don't
let your man in the high castle stop you from finding your Julia Fox down the drain.
Of course, that's exactly the perfect analogy. And maybe one day I'll go back to this book, see now you've told me.
Yeah.
I'll go back to it. And it's
Good.
not like I don't like science fiction, and maybe
This isn't even really
Science
science
fiction.
fiction-y.
I know, but like maybe one day I'll be in a better frame of mind, but like a better like
You'll just have the patience to go back to it.
yeah. I don't know.
It is a very slow book, and I understand why a lot of people would think this book was boring.
It's kind of boring, but I feel like the bit that I did read, it's very like the whole character of Baines. He just kind of like he reflects a lot, and he's
Mhm.
like he has this whole. I'm trying to find it. He
Mhm.
has this whole big thing about like I don't know. He's feeling. I think he's now that I know that he's a Nazi defector. I think he's just feeling a lot of guilt about that. But he has like a lot of I don't know.
Got a lot of feelings.
He's got a lot of feelings and he's just really reflecting. And maybe someday I'll go back and I'll go, this is so profound, Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
And you were so right with it.
You should totally read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I don't want to turn.
So cool. That sounds
You know,
so
also,
cool.
do you know what's so sad? So obviously, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is the book that Blade Runner was based on.
I love
do you
Blade
know-
Runner.
That Philip K. Dick died like 4 months before Blade Runner came out, and then when Blade Runner came out, it propelled him to stardom, and he was dead.
No. Oh, it's like Van Gogh. Like Van Gogh was like that.
Pretty much. Tortured artist.
Tortured artist. I love.
At least he had his cats. He had his cats.
He had his cats.
You should read it. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously good book.
Also,
Yeah.
can we talk about how the fact that what happened in Africa in this book?
Oh my god, there's so much. Okay, so
What happened in Africa?
I don't remember what happened in Africa, but there's like they just gloss over the fact that apparently the Germans drained the entire ocean and turned it into a farm.
Sea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where did they get the technology for that?
I don't know, but it's a passing thing. Like, oh yeah, you know when we drained the med. I'm like, you drained the med?
Yeah. Turned it into a farm.
What do you mean? Paved paradise.
Yeah.
Took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, man. Like,
We just drained the med. Like, how
oh,
did
we
they
just
even do
drained
that?
the med.
Did that not take forever?
Okay. Awesome.
Just one really thirsty guy with a straw.
Or like, what is that thing from Teletubbies? The Nunu. Like, what's it? The
Oh,
Nunu?
the Hoover guy.
The Hoover guy, and he goes.
Yeah,
What's that called? The Nut.
I think it's something like that. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I haven't watched the Teletubbies in
What are
probably
you-
21 years or
But
something.
what are you actually saying?
Too busy reading The Man in the High Castle.
Okay, well maybe you'd be exponentially happier if you watched a little bit of Teletubbies.
Every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I have my favourite Teletubbies episode.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your favourite Teletubbies episode?
There's one where they like the bit like on the tubby
Their
television
telly?
thing on their telly. It's the kids feeding the lambs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I love that episode.
You know what? Your mum is going to be listening to this pod and thinking they fucking went off track again. They're talking about the Teletubbies. That's the power of fiction, guys.
Yeah.
Gets the conversation started.
Yep.
I've now completely lost what I was going to say. Oh, yeah,
Africa.
Africa.
So
They just wiped out Africa, I
they
think.
wiped out the Africans.
I think they just completely eviscerated the entire continent. Slavery is legal. They must have kept a few of them.
There's like the Sheldon goes to like a government building and he's talking about like they've got like porters and they're all African and like basically they've taken over Africa and enslaved the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
And there's
not happening.
a bit where they talk about like bones and they did experiments on the people of Africa when they enslaved them again, and there's like a bit where they talk about like, oh, the skull's good for this and
and they turn it into medicines.
they
and
turn it
stuff.
into medicine and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's always like like it's always talked about with like a little bit sadness, like, oh yeah, you know, after what they did in Africa. And I'm going, what did they do in
Yeah.
Africa? Somebody please just tell me enough of this and enough of this cryptic stuff. I
Yeah.
just want to know. Tell me plain and
I'm
simple.
pretty sure when I read that about the ocean, I just circled it and I was like, LMAO, this is crazy.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they drained the meds.
They just casually
They
drained.
drained the meds. Okay, awesome, great.
And there's also, this isn't to do with that, but there's this weird through line thing about historicity or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like
Where it's like, if you believe that an object has history or has some sort of significance, then it just does.
then it does.
Yeah.
Like what's his name? Wyndham
Madsen.
Wyndham Matson. He has like 2 lighters, and one of them was said to be Roosevelt's lighter when he got shot,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of them's a replica and look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And one has historicity,
The other one doesn't.
and the other one doesn't.
But
And
it
that's
doesn't
and that's
matter which
why-
one you believe.
as long as you believe that one does.
I just
Which
turned
is
to
a
that
very-
exact page.
Which is a very cool concept,
Yeah.
actually.
It's kinda
I find
like-
that kind of interesting.
Which ties into the whole grasshopper lies heavy thing, because it's almost like if you believe something and it just becomes real,
Yeah.
you know?
If you believe in something enough and give it enough, like, I don't know, if you believe it enough and you give it enough energy, then it just is.
Maybe that's why Tagome switches dimensions at the end.
Yeah, maybe he just believed in it so much.
Yeah.
And
He just went there.
it's like, you ever seen Field of Dreams? If you build it, he will come.
Oh, yeah?
Like that.
No, but John Mulaney's seen it. John Mulaney? No, at the Oscars?
Oh,
Talking
yeah.
about Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes?
Yeah, what was that? Oh, we haven't even
At the
talked-
Oscars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since the Oscars
Since the
happened.
Oscars. It was great. Anatomy of a Fall got absolutely robbed.
I know. The Holdovers? Yes!
Holdovers didn't win. Well, they did actually.
David Joy
Randolph won.
Randolph.
You good
David Joy Randolph won.
Deserved it.
Deserved it.
Much deserved.
Lily Gladstone robbed.
Yeah, but like Emma Stone was good, but she also did win an Oscar like 6 years ago, and she
Yeah.
didn't seem like she wanted it.
But she did say, Lily, I share this with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone was like, oh, Lily Gladstone's going to win it.
Yeah.
Also, Al Pacino. My I see Oppenheimer. Okay, great. Thank you, Grandpa. Like
me throwing the I Ching, be like, my eyes see 4. Literally, could not have been a more anticlimactic way
It's
to
like-
reveal this
it's like-
picture.
he comes in, everyone gives him like a standing ovation.
Mhm.
This man gets like welcomed like a king,
Yeah.
and he goes, my I see Oppenheimer, and everyone's like kind of sat for a minute like, what?
Robert De Niro sitting in the audience with like his 40th Best Actor nomination. Al Pacino comes stumbling out in his Zimmer frame.
Oppenheimer, maybe, I don't know.
Somebody give me a glass of wine. Big up respect, Al Pacino. He's just getting old, isn't he?
To
Love
be
you, Al
fair.
Pacino. Hope you're listening.
Hi, Al Pacino.
We should get Al on the
Oh,
podcast.
let's get him on here.
Big Al.
Big Al.
Have I got anything else to say about this book? This book is extremely dense. There's a lot going on.
This is such a short podcast episode because I hate this book.
Do you know what? It's probably good that we have a short episode because the last one was so
a
long.
lot
Thank you,
long.
anyone that listened to that all the way through, because even I was like, this is so long.
Hey. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Yeah. Man in the High Castle?
Man in the High Castle. I'm going to give this book a solid 6 point... No.
Oh, really? You're going
no.
up there?
No, actually, I've revoked that. I'm going to give this book a solid 5.5 frogs out of 10 frogs.
Where does it sit on the bog standard?
On my bog standard, 4.
4.
4.
Nice.
4. I for those that don't know, I have my own bog standard. It's a scale, and you can drop or go up at any moment in time.
For example.
For
by
example-
the way, we don't work together anymore. We never announced this. Yeah. I left the place that we both worked.
And Adam was once a high-ranking member of the bog standard, and now he's down the lower end of the scale.
I was once a Mr. Tagome. I am now a Frank Fink.
Yeah, dead to me.
Oh well. At least we still have the pod.
I actually was thinking about what I was going to say to you, because we don't work together anymore, and that sucks. I
I agree.
was on the clothes on Saturday,
Yeah.
and I was doing cutlery, and I was doing glasses, and I was like,
If only Adam
if
were
only
here.
Adam was here, Adam would make this a lot more enjoyable.
It would just be Adam would drive me home for free.
Yeah. Oh, at least at the end of it, I'm gonna get left home by Adam, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't work together
I'm so
anymore.
sorry to have abandoned you.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like I've abandoned my child.
I'm my son! My boy!
My boy.
God is dead! That's a different movie, though. It's a different movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could go into about why I think The Man in the High Castle is a postmodern masterpiece, and I will go
You
into it.
Say it then.
Do you know what are you familiar with postmodernism?
Yeah.
Are you?
Sure.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Stupid bitch. Let me to
What do you mean a
mansplain.
postmodern masterpiece, as in like it got famous after it was written?
No. So postmodernism is like a movement, right?
Oh, okay.
In the 1960s and 70s, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I never really thought Philip K. Dick was a postmodern person that wrote postmodern fiction, but like Thomas Pynchon, like David Foster Wallace, Infinite Jest, very famous postmodern book. Postmodernism's kind of hard to define, but the way that I define it is that it's sort of like, it's kind of like when people write fiction that's more focused on a feeling than
a
a plot,
big concept,
like a big
idea,
conspiracy.
like a big idea,
So like
something profound.
Yeah. So like Paranoia is like a good example. Like if the Man in the High Castle is kind of a book that's about lots and lots of things, but also not about anything. And there's like this book called The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon. It's one of my favourite books of all time. And it's about a woman that uncovers a conspiracy that involves like a stamp, like an underground mail stamp scheme. And there's just a lot to it. And it's complete nonsense.
Okay.
But it's the feeling that you get. It's like you're just enjoying being carried along this nonsense. And you're not really meant to understand it. You're just meant to feel it. And I just think that's kind of an interesting concept.
When you say it like that, I think I'd enjoy it. But when I'm reading it, I don't know.
I think it like postmodernism was like in response to like the war or something. I think where
I mean, probably.
Hang on, let me just look this up.
It's like gives me the vibe that like I don't know, like you know, like slam poetry. How everyone like flicks at the end of slam poetry when you've done something really cool. Gives me that kind of vibe.
Yeah. Postmodern literature. I'm gonna just tear this straight from.
There we are.
Straight from Wikipedia. Is a literature that's characterized by the use of metafiction, which this book definitely has.
Metafiction.
Unreliable narration.
Slay. I love unreliable narrators. I love it. I love it.
And self-reflexivity, intertextuality, and which often thematizes, uses themes of historical and political issues.
Okay, Slay. Okay, so this book.
Yeah.
So it is.
It's also uses literary conventions such as fragmentation, paradox, unrealistic and downright impossible plots, parody, paranoia, dark humour, and authorial self-reference. So it's like drawing attention to the fact that it's a book. Kind of. It's like when movies do that.
Yeah, I love when movies do that. Like
you could probably say like, I don't know, maybe Napoleon Dynamite or something is like a postmodern movie.
Okay, I know. Napoleon Dynamite is in my letterbox top 4 faves. I love that little boy. I love him. I love that character. I love that movie. I think it's so funny. Yeah. I think it's very. This is a movie. These are characters. This is not real. We have a llama that we feed lasagna to. Like it's so good.
Or like what's like another like so even Philip K. Dick like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is about a bounty hunter that kills androids, but also is saving up money so that he can buy a goat, so that people will think he's really cool for having a goat.
Hey, if anyone
complete nonsense.
If anyone has a goat, I think they're really cool. I think goats are really cool.
Complete nonsense. But it's a great book. It's a lot better than this book. Yeah. Anyway, to go back to the ratings, I'm going to give this on my Adam standards 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10?
Yeah.
That's fair, I think
I appreciate it more than I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. See, now that I know about Philip K. Dick's life.
Yeah. It was really interesting getting to look it up.
Yeah, like that's interesting. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Now that I know that, I might go back to it. And now that I know how it ends, I might go back to it. But I think the build up to it, there's just not enough plot for me.
Mm-hmm.
5.5 frogs.
I'm trying to think if there's any other books of DN. I mean, I finished this book because I knew one of us had to finish it to read it for the podcast. I'm trying to think if there's any other books that I DNF'd. Like
Martin Amos's Money. This is a. Oof,
I will say I DNF'd Gatsby the first time I read it. And then I went back and reread it and finished it, and I was like, that wasn't worth it. And DNF'd lots of things.
I DNF'd like Skullduggery Pleasant.
Oh yeah. When I was younger, I used to DNF like. I think I DNF'd The Hunger Games the first time I read it, which is crazy. I still haven't finished it.
Insane.
I DNF'd the Gone series. I read the first 5 books in the Gone series.
Gone series!
and then I read half of the last one. And then for some reason I just went, you know what? Fuck the Gone series. I don't want to know how this 6-book series finishes.
Oh, the Gone
and I never
series.
finished it.
Oh.
Did they get out?
Yes.
Okay.
They all get out. And it's all to do with the little brother.
Little Pete.
Little Pete.
Little Pete.
Sorry to anyone that hasn't read the Gone series. You should
We should do an
do
episode
that.
on that.
Who wrote it? Matthew Grant.
Michael Grant. What
Matthew Grant was a guy I knew at school.
Big Michael Grant.
Michael Grant. He creates. It's like the best kind of dystopian fiction for kids. It's so good. It's so deep. But it's also there's bits in it, and I'm like, I went back to it recently, and I was like, hi, why was I reading that?
Yeah.
The ripe old age of
There was like a
11.
part of the second book where a kid gets eaten by worms
Yes.
at the very start of the second
or
book.
like coyotes or something.
Yeah.
And then, because they go into an apocalypse where everyone over the age, I think it's like 15, they all disappear, and it's
Yeah.
all these kids,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them develop superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very cool, and like factions start, and there's like good and evil. There's a boy called Kane, and he's really
He's-
cool, but it's all to
Sam's
do,
brother or something, isn't
yes,
he?
yes, and it's all to do with Little Pete. And then Sam, the main guy, has he gets a girlfriend, and she's really cool.
And she's called Astrid.
And she calls Astrid, and she's
Crazy name.
and she's awesome, and she has a little brother called Pete. He's
Slay
cool.
Pete.
And Sam's best friend is a boy called Quinn who wears a fedora and surfs.
Which back in 2008 was considered super cool, and now would be
Still?
considered.
Still today, it's super cool.
Is it?
To me? Well, to me.
I think the fedora is bordering a little bit on like Milady type, like neck beard kind of activity.
I love that. Quinn would be the person to go, Milady.
With a neck beard
But,
and like chicken wing sauce on his face.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No.
But the surfing
Two.
slay.
Anyone that surfs, up 2.5 points in the
Mhm.
bog scale.
Mm-hmm. So before we get distracted, do we even have any songs prepared for this? This
The
playlist?
sounds of thunder. The sounds of rain.
bricks being placed,
Metal clanging.
men screaming.
Babies crying.
I don't know why, but I wanted to put the song. I think we can make a short playlist, and we'll just do. I want to do. Was that song called White Rabbit?
Oh, by Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. Springtime for Hitler.
Okay.
Little J-pop song probably would be fitting.
Okay.
We'll figure this all out later on, but
We'll put it and we'll link it in the Instagram.
exactly. You all know where it'll be.
You all know where it is.
And yeah, guys, we asked for questions. I think we only got like 2 questions.
We have a few questions, and then after the questions we have our first little bit of fan mail too.
Oh shit, we have fan mail today.
And we have fan mail.
Fan mail. Okay, let's get on with the questions. These are mostly meme questions, but you know what? Just because you guys put them in anyway, we're gonna read them.
We're gonna do it because you know what? We love our fans.
The first question, not a question, but it comes from Claire Stewart,
Hi, Claire Stewart.
my mum. This isn't a question, Mum. You seem to have completely missed the point of the podcast.
Don't bash it. It's cute.
She says, I downloaded the new James Patterson for my holiday. Thanks for the suggestions. You're welcome for the suggestions, Mum. However, not one of us mentioned suggesting James Patterson. So it doesn't seem that you actually took our suggestions on board. So you're
You know
welcome
what?
for your own choice, I guess.
You know what, Claire Stewart? I'm so glad that you found something.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, and have a nice holiday when
Yeah.
you go on holiday.
She's away on Saturday and being left
Oh.
to look after the cats.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. It's exciting.
Exciting.
Gonna have a party every single night with all 4 of my friends.
Wahoo!
And we can just bash out several podcasts.
Gaff.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that.
Thanks, Claire.
Not question, Mum. Claire.
Okay. The next one is from Cammy Gunn. Should we eliminate Ali Court?
Cammy Gun, I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I have no idea who you are.
You
But-
asked this last time.
And you asked this last
you
month.
asked this last time.
And I can only assume that by Ali Court, you mean the student accommodation at Stirling University, which I don't go to, and Bog doesn't go to either.
Well, I'm going there.
You're going to go there. Can't say I've ever been in Ali Court, but you know what,
I'll
man?
keep it in mind.
We'll check it out if we're ever on campus.
Yeah.
My girlfriend goes to Stirling Uni. This might have been a better question for her. Shout out Emily. Shout out Emily.
Shout out Emily.
Emily, do you think that we should eliminate Ali Court? Just leave your comment in the comment section below.
In the comment section. Okay.
Thanks, Cammy.
Thanks, Cammy.
Let us know if they eliminate her, I guess.
You asked this last time. What is the persistence with this question?
That's yeah. I can't say I've got anything against Ali Court, but you know what, slay.
I am a neutral party in this. Maybe that will change. But you know what, Cammy, you seem pretty set in your.
And
you seem
you're
pretty
wanting to eliminate Ali Court.
And I say go for it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, and our second to last question comes from fan favorite Nicholas Faubert. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Welcome back onto the pod.
Should
just have a section.
3 for 3, Nicholas Faubert.
And Nick wants to know: would you rather unlimited bacon but no more video games, or unlimited games but no games?
Okay, I know what you're talking about here, only because
is this not like a J Slat thing or something?
Yeah. Nick, brain rot.
Yeah,
just brain rot. But I will have to say, it's a very important question, and it is just the right answer is games, unlimited games, but no games. That is the right answer.
Yeah. I you know what? I'm not even that big of a fan of bacon. See, if you told me like,
you're not a big fan of bacon.
See, if the question was, would you rather be locked in a room forever, but have unlimited chocolate hobnobs, or be a free man but never be able to eat a chocolate hobnob again? I would really have to think about it.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Chocolate hobnobs for life, man.
I love chocolate hobnobs. Same thing about bacon. Bacon. Yeah. Bacon. It's like that thing. I don't know. It has to be a very specific type of bacon.
Yeah. Crispy.
Crispy bacon. If there's fat on it, it has to be burnt. Mm-hmm. I cannot eat the slimy. Oh no. But yeah, Nick. Hi, Nick.
Thank you for your question.
Thanks for your question. And
try a little harder next time.
Yeah, Nick wants on the podcast, so maybe we'll see you then.
Nick, you need to pick a book.
Yep.
And finally,
our final question. Our final question comes from me.
Hi, you.
Hi, me. And it's who's your favorite and why?
Who's my favorite and why? My favorite,
I would have to say,
generally,
I don't know. I don't know what me thought. But I thought.
I'm gonna say my favorite is chocolate hobnobs.
And why?
They're just so much better than chocolate digestives, don't you think?
Okay. Actually, you know, I really love tea biscuits.
Oh, rich tea biscuits?
Rich tea biscuits.
That's a boring
so
biscuit,
good,
man.
but they're so good.
That's a dull choice.
I know it's a dull choice, but like if you're just looking for something to just snack on, that's a good one.
Do you know what? You seem like a ready salted crisp type guy. Are you?
Kind of, yeah. But like, I don't really eat crisps that much. Pringles though. The green ones.
Light.
Green
sour cream and onion. Oh, so good. Smelly. You don't think the best crisps are just the ones that stink?
Yeah, and then like I have like a little bit of appreciation for somebody that like eats like a really stinky bag of crisps.
That's my favourite.
Because then I'm like, oh, you scrounged that and you
were so proud of it.
I'm so proud of
Monster Munch in the cinema type guy.
Oh no, that's
let me pull
criminal.
Let me pull out my big bag of pickled onion Monster Munch giants.
Let me put one on each finger
and go around offering it to the people in the cinema. Would you like a Monster Munch? But you have to eat it off of my finger.
You have to eat it during like, I don't know,
Oppenheimer.
The screening of Immaculate.
Yeah. In a nun costume. Ooh. Would you like a pickled onion Monster Munch, my friend? Just crawling along the floor.
Oh God.
Under the recliners.
Oh. Okay.
That's my favourite. My favourite is the person that gives out the Monster Munch in the cinema. Have you met him? He's so cool. In the nun costume. Crazy guy. Crazy. You know, and he only ever comes in on like weird times, like a Monday afternoon, when you think, oh, thank God I'm the only person in here.
Yeah.
And then you just hear, hello, dear. It's like it speaks in an old woman voice. Yeah. Hello, my lady. Would you like a
Me in the cinema by myself sobbing, watching like the Iron Claw or something, and all of a sudden,
the Monster
like,
Munch guy.
The Monster Munch guy.
Ooh. I bet it. And you know what? You know what's the worst? It's all right when it's pickled onion, but see when he comes around with the roast beef. Ah, God, you just think, fuck off,
No.
Monster Munch guy. Like, nobody mess me with that roast beef. Nobody wants that. Flaming hot, you can take it or leave it, but see when he comes around with that pickled onion and you smell it from the back of the cinema. Oh.
And I know those fingers are pickly and oniony.
Yeah. That's the sign of a good cinema experience. We have gone so off track. What are we even talking about right now?
No.
Philip K. Dick, this is
what Philip K. Dick saw when he was on.
This is what Mr. Tagomi saw in that alternate universe. He just woke up in the Odeon, getting fed Monster Munch.
He is the Monster Munch guy. That's what he came back and did.
Well, this was.
We have fan mail.
Oh, okay.
We have fan mail.
Would you like to read it?
I'll read it because I know how it's supposed to be read. You can react.
I'll just enjoy it.
Okay, we have fan mail, although it is labelled as 1 AM Book Club, fan mail, or hate mail. Okay.
Okay. Let's get it going.
This is...
Oh my goodness.
Anonymous. You want to take that?
I'll take the envelope.
This is anonymous.
Oh my God.
Dear 1 AM Book Club, first of all, love the pod, and I'm waiting for a Mr. Meekle appearance. Me too.
Nah, I'm also waiting for a Mr. Meekle appearance.
Second of all, Anna, I don't know who that is. Adam mentioned living in a treehouse in Minecraft, and I completely agree.
Thank you.
Treehouses are superior. Also, Kira mentioned my flooding of animals to her foyer, but she failed to tell that I made a separate world with an identical foyer as a peace offering. So yeah, lore.
Wow.
I would like to dispute this.
So this is the terrorist that flooded your foyer with animals in Minecraft?
Yes.
Was this in episode 1? We talked
episode
about
2. We talked about this last episode.
Okay.
Now, Team Bog or Team Adam? Well, I'm Team A-Dog. Or alternatively, Team Bam.
That's great.
That's
Team
awesome.
Bam.
Okay. R.I.P. Lesbian Sisters, they would have loved No Doubt, which is so true.
No Doubt the band?
No Doubt is in like...
Oh.
I'm just a girl in the world.
Yeah.
Question. If you could wear any Hunger Games outfit, what would you wear?
What? Oh, pita cake ground outfit. You know, when he decorates himself as the ground.
Oh yeah, like The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock.
The Rock.
Peter Rock.
Peter
face.
Rock. Me personally, Joanna Mason and the Elevator.
Or any Caesar Flickerman outfit.
Oh, true. I want that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or any Effie outfit.
True.
Or
the butterfly one that Effie wears.
Just want Effie's wig.
Yeah.
Any of them. Also, this is... I'm going outwards here. I'm going, extending my horizons. I'm going to say Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The Capitol... like outfits, the red. Was it?
Yeah,
the
red. The red.
Like the red blazer.
The red.
Sick.
Okay, slay.
Thank you for that question.
I also asked myself this question: how do you feel about the podcast? Well, I can't really explain it. I haven't got the words. Brackets. I'm so sorry. Well, that's it. Bye. Yours sincerely, Anna, aka Miniblog. Oh my gosh, this was written by my sister.
What? I thought it was written by Tom Holland.
P.S. The foreshadowing in the Virgin Suicides gave me chills. She had a long neck and she hung herself. What?
Crazy.
Yeah, there's also a little footnote here. The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. What?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
You heard it here first,
You
folks.
heard it here. So that's our first piece of fan mail.
Thank you. Please continue submitting us fan mail. We don't have a PO box, but
and I'm not giving you my address.
But I'll put my email out or something. We'll create an email.
We have an email, don't we?
Oh, we do have an email. Yes.
Which is
it is. You can send us more fan mail by email at
the 1 AM Book Club Podcast at gmail.com.
That's the 1 AM Book Club Podcast at gmail.com. Please send us your emails.
Send us fan mail.
Send us questions.
Send us pictures of the Monster Munch guy.
Give us it all.
Yeah, fan mail. Give us fan art.
Sure.
I want to see some
branch
fan
out.
art.
Yeah, we're in episode 3, guys, and we ain't stopping anytime soon.
Nuh-uh, ain't no way.
So thank you, everyone, once again. A nice short episode.
Of course.
Month. Oh, what are we talking about next month?
It's my episode next month.
It is your episode.
Okay.
What's going on next month? What's happening in April?
In April, not much is really happening. I'm getting ready to go away. But next month you still have me, and we are reading.
Drum roll, please.
I Never Promised You a Rose Garden by
Joanne Greenberg or Hannah Green.
Oh, I do not know.
I think it was written under the pseudonym Hannah Green, but it was written by Joanne Greenberg,
which is cool, and we'll get into that next month.
What's the story behind that choice?
Well, I was wandering around Waterstones as you do, and I thought, I like the look of this book. It's got a 60s kind of vibe to it, and then I read the back and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm gonna impulsively buy this, and then I said, you know what, we need something for April,
so go for it. Never Promised You a Rose Garden.
Never Promised You a Rose Garden.
Very excited to read it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Okay.
Well, thanks everyone.
Thanks for listening
Thanks
to the
for
podcast.
listening to this episode.
Continue to listen to the podcast, please.
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye. See ya.